A very warm welcome to the Fuji Speedway for the second round of Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia for 2023. We kicked off in mixed weather in Thailand last month, but it's looking all set fair for a fabulous day. All the qualifying sessions and the first of the two races for this week's bill of fare. 25 cars went out to play in Thailand. We've boosted that to 40 here this weekend, the largest grid equal, that is 36 GT3 cars. Coming out to play on this fabulous circuit. It's a circuit that's built into the mountainside, the foothills of Mount Fuji. The start-finish straight is arced, the wonderful twist of turns on the lower slopes before the track climbs back up, and such an important exit from turn 16 to feed the cars onto that long straight, over a crest by the pits, down to turn 1. A brilliant lap, in all 4.563 kilometers, and it's a very, very technical circuit. We've had wet testing on Thursday, dry testing yesterday, and now we're all set for 4 qualifying sessions coming up. Driver 1 and Driver 2, they have their own individual sessions. That's first of all for the GT4 cars, and then we will clear those 4 cars off the track after their 2 sessions. And then the big bangers, that's 36 GT3 cars representing 12 of the 13 manufacturers who produce GT3 cars, will go out. And for them, in their 15-minute qualifying sessions, track space is going to be absolutely everything. Many a lap will be spoilt by another driver getting in the way of some of the faster runners, but here we are this weekend with a GT4 field that's been boosted to 4 cars, and hopefully later this year at Okayama, if the interest continues to rise as it's expected to do, we'll have an individual pair of races for the GT4 cars. They'll be separated away from the GT3 runners towards the end of August. So let's wait and see. But the big story is this is the first of 4 rounds of the Japan Cup. It's part of the Fanatec GT Asia Series exclusively for the 4 races in Japan, starting here in Fuji, moving on to Suzuka, then Okayama, and then Motegi in September. And then, of course, we've got the final round of the Fanatec GT Asia Series. Completing it, it may well be that the overall championship goes to a Japan Cup entrant if they do really well across these 4 rounds. But we'll conclude the season at Sepang in Malaysia at the end. But right now, you can see the heat haze rising off the track, and the GT4 cars about to go out and play. That will be car number 50 you're looking at, YZ Racing, entered by the very well-known BMW Team Studi, and the BMW M4 GT4 has been a very, very popular tool, both across the GT4 series that are growing like mad across Europe, but also in the States, all around the world, in fact. But it looks though number 71, Akiland Racing's Toyota, one of 2 GR Supra GT4s, will be first onto the track with Masayoshi Oyama at the wheel, and the second one of the Toyotas is car number 97, K-Tunes Racing, really regular entrants across the Japanese series, particularly in the Super Taiku, where a lot of the GT4 cars go out to play. Their Toyota will be coming out in the hands of Masanori Nogami, and Naohiko Otsuka should be out in the number 718 Porsche Cayman. Of course, it's 718 because that is the model number of the Porsche Cayman that goes out to race. There it is in the background with Naohiko Otsuka at the wheel, waiting for those lights to go from red to green, and that means they'll then have 15 minutes of qualifying, and it's very, very quick fire. They will decide the order of the GT4 grid for this afternoon's race, and in the second GT4 qualifying session, their teammates will go out to set the grid order for the GT4 pack in tomorrow's Sunday's race. But right now, conditions are as good as they've been for a long time at Fuji Speedway. It's hot, but not bakingly hot. It's not too humid. The mountain, the fabulous, famous volcano, goes in and out of the light cloud, but it was effectively at 6:30 this morning a cloudless sky. So we'll take these conditions, particularly as this time of year is the rainy season here in Japan. Those lights due to go out at 09:10, so just a matter of moments until we reach that point. 5 seconds, and those lights will turn green. But with the 4 GT4 runners going out to play, they will have plenty of track space. It will all be about technique. Great to see BMW Team Studi back. They've supported Fanatec GT in Asia for a long time and had a huge amount of success. So good to have them back in the mix. Track temperature warm. Yesterday, the fastest time set in GT4 yesterday was by the BMW Team Studi M4, and it was a 1:48.157 second lap. Of course, course, that was done in an open practice session where the track was absolutely covered in cars. 40 cars in all in this record entrance here for any GT race in Japan that's had GT3 cars. The GT4 cars will really bolster the numbers, going down through turn number 5. Not quite the lowest point on the circuit. They'll come up the rise gently beneath the circuit cafe, turning to this corner, the infield hairpin turn 6, when of course the track goes kinking to the left, and then eventually kinks to the right. Now the speeds start to pick up as the drivers, led by Masaki Kano, look towards the lowest point on the circuit, from whence they will climb their way back up. But this Fuji Speedway has had many, many circuit derivations used in its long and rich history, but this one has the tight in and out halfway up the slope, climbing all the time towards the end of the lap. So at the moment the drivers just getting the heat into their tyres, and now looking to go out wide, up the slope, through to turn the final sweepers onto the start-finish straight. This is such an important sequence of corners. Right, left, constantly climbing a bit more. A tighter left. Here we go. There's the tighter left. Now it's the next corner that the Toyota and then the Porsche will have to try and set themselves up for to get a really clear run into that final corner. Turn 16 to get the sweep onto the start-finish straight. And now, with heat in their Pirelli rubber, they should be looking straight ahead, and the glory for them is the track is clear. It is all theirs. Importantly, a couple of seconds between them, so the BMW shouldn't be tripped up by the pace of the Toyota and vice versa. Sorry, it's a Porsche in second place. Of course, the BMW a little bit further back, waiting for that to come on the track. They're all on the track now, all on their lap, now starting their first flying lap. And it's the Akalan Racing Toyota that is the first in the order, not necessarily setting the pace at the moment. We've got to see until times come on the board. But Masayoshi Oyama, the driver who's had a few candles on his cake, like me, born in the 1960s, racing Japanese F4, that stepped up to Fanatec GT Asia last year and was champion in that category, GT4 AM, because the GT4 class is split into silver and AM derivations. So a staunch supporter of the championship, and I must say that Toyota Supra looks a very, very handy machine indeed. Really looks absolutely planted as he goes through turn 5, turn 6. Certainly the number 718 Porsche is closing in there. Hiko Otsuka going just a little bit faster, doesn't want to trip himself up over the back of that Toyota in front, so it might be wise to back it off a little bit, give him space for the next lap. Target time, as I said, 1 minute 48.1 seconds was the best set so far in GT4 in the practices. Thursday almost a washout, the cars skidding all over the place, struggling for traction, but right now the Toyota just not quite as quick as the Porsche behind, so the Porsche driver has to just think about where he wants to be on the track. Does he want to try and pass on the start-finish straight, or would the driver in behind car number 718, that's Hiko Otsuka, be better to back off a little bit? He's clearly got a little bit more pace. Let's see what these first flying laps are going to be as Oyama and Otsuka sweep onto the start-finish straight. And of course their co-driver will be the driver who will be doing the second qualifying session. Driver 1, these are the driver 1 in this session, are the ones that set the grid for this afternoon's race. And the race will run from 2:30 this afternoon, so the fastest time on the board just in the favour of the Toyota that was weaving a little bit to get more heat into its tyres. So it's Masayoshi Oyama leading the way. Hiko Otsuka for now in second place, but we've got the BMW coming through. Will that go top? Most certainly it does. And Masaki Kano gets down to 1 minute 50.494 seconds. Still waiting for a flying lap from the fourth car in the class, the K-Tunes Racing Toyota Supra, car number 97. Waiting for that to come through. White livery, but certainly as he starts his second lap, going faster still. Masaki Kano starting to really shuffle along in that BMW, pushing it out very nice and wide into turn 3, down the slope into turn 4, 5. Yeah, using the track nicely. Not going too wide on the exit of turn 5, because that then puts you in entirely the wrong line when you need to get back across the track to turn into the left-hander through turn 6 into 7, down the slope, a little bit skitterish out towards the edge of the circuit there, looking for grip. He didn't quite have, but certainly setting very, very good sector times. And just for the record, the opening lap for Masanori Nagami, nothing to write home about, but building up the pace on the second lap and certainly picking up the speed for the K-Tunes Racing Toyota. Now the driver of the lone Porsche Cayman 718 in this GT4 class, Naohiko Otsuka, just trying to find the pace. All the drivers now improving on their lap, with the exception last time around of Otsuka in the 718 Porsche Cayman. But let's see if this lap will yield a little bit more. No, his middle sector was he really backed off in the middle sector, so this lap it will not be a quick one, but maybe he wasn't satisfied with the heating tyres, wanted to keep building it up, and now, only now, is he attacking. But the target's going to keep on moving because the number 50 YZ Racing BMW, Masaki Kano, 1 minute 50.4 became 1 minute 48.258 seconds. So the BMW within a tenth of a second of the best time set yesterday. So he is really flying. And the car that set the pace yesterday was that same aforementioned BMW. There it is in the background. Again, every time you look at it, using all the circuit, going right out to the edge, doing exactly what all the drivers need to do to set a very, very good time. But the glory for all of these drivers is the fact they've got the track almost to themselves. A trip up over one of the other 3 cars in the group would be a little unfortunate. Not yet quite at the halfway point in this GT4 first qualifying session. Worth pointing out, there are 2 Silver Am class entries and 2 Am class. And the BMW we're looking at there, Masaki Kano, he is partnered with Manobu Orido, who has a huge amount of experience. And they are a Silver Am, that's the higher ranking. The other entry is the car that was first out on the track, the 71 Akiland Racing Toyota, and their 2 drivers, Masayoshi Oyama and Ryohei Sakaguchi, are also Silver Am ranked drivers. So you should expect them to be the first 2 cars in class, and you know what? They are. There they are. You can see on the top graphic, 50 and 71 written in blue. That means they are Silver Am, and the all Am entries there, numbers there next to Otsuka and Nogami are written in red. They are Am class drivers. All racing in GT4, but the 2 classes. This certainly looks like a better lap off Otsuka because he backed off in the middle sector last time around, wasn't happy with that. Actually, he didn't have a very good opening sector on this one, but waiting to see, does he improve his position? Still his best is a 1 minute 50. Oh, he has improved. He's gone up to second overall, 149.293, a second off the pace. So that was very wise tactic from Naohiko Otsuka. Wasn't happy with his previous lap, backed off in the middle of it, built it up again, got more heat in the tyres, and then attacked. Currently the best time is still in the hands of Masaki Kano. YZ Racing with BMW Team Studi, that glorious looking M4 GT3, really beautiful GT4. GT3 would be a little bit faster. Really, really pressing on here. Neat, tidy. Will he go below 1 minute 48? That would be a very, very impressive time if he can do so. No point taking a risk. He's got a margin of a whisker over a second over the best of the rest, which currently is the 718 Porsche of Naohiko Otsuka. Glad to report that the 4th car in the group, the K-Tunes Racing Toyota, that's the one shared by Masanori Nogami and Hiromitsu Fuji, is picking up the pace below 1 minute 54 now. So with each lap going faster, will the target time keep on moving? Well, very, very good middle sector on this lap for Masaki Kano. Will he improve? His target 1 minute 48.258 seconds. There is the K-Tunes Racing Toyota. Currently the slowest of the group, but improving with every sector passed, which is the way to do it. Still 5.5 minutes remain in this 15-minute qualifying session. So Masanori Nogami pressing on in the number 97 entries from K-Tunes Racing, have run cars for a very, very long time. Very popular, long-standing sponsor, like so many sponsors in Japanese racing. Right, we got into the 1 minute 48, so I thought that was the target time. 1 minute 47.994 seconds, the new target set by the BMW crew, Masaki Kano. But right now, Nogami in the K-Tunes Racing Toyota Supra GT4. His middle sector wasn't as good as his previous lap. He may still improve. 1 minute 53.9 was his very best through the technical twisters on the climb up to that final corner onto the start-finish straight. Car number 97 from the tight to the wide open, and the start-finish straight actually has a crest on it. You can't see from one end to the other because the end towards turn 1 drops down towards the first corner, that tight right-hander. Right at this point, still very slightly climbing to the crest on the straight. Is there going to be an improvement from Nagami? 1 minute 53.9 is best. 1 minute 54.7. No, his slow first and slightly untidy finish to the lap. He lost his best pace through the climb back up to the start-finish straight. So 4th place for the moment for Nagami for K-Tunes Racing. Now, is Kano going fast from this lap? No, he isn't actually. His first sector has backed off a little bit. Maybe he's happy that he's got provisional pole in the bag. And there's a very short time changeover from the first qualifying session to the second. The first one ends at 9:25. The second one starts 7 minutes later. So if you're confident you've set a good time, if you come in early from this session, and we've got just under 4 minutes remaining, that gives a little bit more time to discuss circuit conditions, tyre life, and other factors, and how the car's behaving before handing over to your teammate. In his case, Manabu Orido will be taking over the Studi BMW for the second session. So putting that knowledge across would be very, very helpful indeed. Any other improvements? And the answer is most certainly yes, because suddenly we've got 3 of the cars below 1 minute 50 now. The last lap for 71, the yellow, white and black Akiland Racing Toyota was 1 minute 49.86 seconds. So certainly an improvement there from Masayoshi Oyama for Akiland Racing. BMW did what I expected, which was report back to the pits. Masaki Kano, job done. He's on pole by 1.299 seconds, so that is good. Can't see any other challengers getting any closer. What I could see, though, is the second of the GT4 Silveram runners, the Akiland Racing Toyota, just finding enough of an improvement to go into second overall. So a fresh set of stickered Pirellis being brought out there for the BMW M4 GT4, and they will be put on for the second driver who go out in the second session. So Manabu Orido waits on. He'll be already starting to talk to the driver who's just got out, which is Masaki Kano, who set that time fastest by 1.3 seconds. Now Oyama improves in sector 1, improves in sector 2. He's got to find almost 0.6 of a second. Can he do that? Pressing on in the Akiland Racing Toyota. He was very keen to get out in the session. First driver out onto the track. With the sun shining on the flanks of the car as he goes around the Fuji Speedway. Comes out of turn 16, the final corner. Tries to use a little bit of the curb, but not too much. Doesn't want to unsettle the car. Up the start, finish straight he goes. So he's still got time for 1 further lap. Actually, he could very nearly squeak in 2 further laps. But waiting for the time to come up on the board. 1 minute 40. He does improve. 1 minute 49.419. This is his final lap. Almost got 2 more in, but Oyama needs to find 0.13 of a second to get into the second class. So, some of the drivers out, some of them about to get on board for second session, qualifying 2. Still in qualifying 1. So there is the fastest car in the pits at the moment. Driver already out. That was a job very well done by Masaki Kano. At the moment, it's the 718 Porsche from Czech shop K-Mania Racing. And Hiko Otsuka hanging on to second place. He's in the GT4 AM class. But right now, as you can see, for YZ Racing with BMW Team Studi, all is cool, calm and collected as they've effectively parked the first session. The pole position already in the bag with just under a minute to go, largely focusing on what comes next. That's qualifying session number 2, but not so for Akiland Racing, the 71 Toyota, really getting a move on. First part of this lap, though, not quite the very best for them. Second part, no improvement. So it doesn't look as though Oyama in the yellow and white Porsche will be able to go through into second place, but certainly has shown increasing pace, which is exactly what the doctor ordered. Of course, the tyres, they have a sweet spot. It takes a few moments to get the tyres up to temperature, and then are they going to behave? You can see a little bit of understeer creeping in now for Oyama, so maybe this final shot with just 15 seconds to go in this session won't be quite enough unless he's done something absolutely magical in the third of the 3 timing sectors. Will he get another further lap? Look for the checkered flag. Look, the clock's counting down the top of the screen. 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. The checkered flag is out just before he crossed the start-finish line. And he did not improve on that lap, but very close to his previous best. So he did 3 laps consecutively within 0.4 of a second. But alas for him, not quite able to topple this car, 718 Porsche Cayman from K-Mania Racing. sponsored by Czech Shop. They will come through also with no further improvement, but they will hold on to second place in class and certainly the top GT4 AM runners. So that is the qualifying session now completed. Just one more car to come round, which is the number 97 K-Tunes Racing Toyota Supra. Has improved in its middle sector, but still languishing a little bit off the ultimate pace in the class in the hands of Masanori Nagami. Checkered flag, but what a beautiful sight here at the Fuji Speedway. The long view from turn one back up that crested start-finish straight, checkered flag waving on the pit wall side. People in the grandstand early on this Saturday morning, full agenda here all weekend, and a record grid of Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia cars, 40 in all, 36 in GT3, and the 4 we've seen in the first of the 2 GT4 sessions here. Will there be an improvement of the last driver to the line? Nagami flashes by. He does improve, actually, finds 0.3 of a second, so 1 minute 53.674. But it's all about changing over now, quickly imparting information. There is Mount Fuji just above the clouds in the top left of the screen. But the order at the end of the session was BMW, Porsche, Toyota, Toyota. That's GT4 qualifying session number 1, done and dusted. Drivers waiting for number 2, some already in the case of the BMW crew. Manabu Orido already getting strapped in with advice from the crew and from the outgoing driver. And Masaki Kano did a very, very good job indeed. 1 minute 47.994 seconds. It's always important in a driver's mind to get into the next bracket of the next second. Below 1 minute 48. Best time yesterday was a 1 minute 48.1 second. Today down below 48, so 1 minute 48. So good progress there. As you can see, the driver adjustments, it's the safety netting being put into place, locked into position, the door then closed, and already, just after that 15-minute qualifying session, driver on board is getting into what is already a rather hot working environment. 7 minutes between the first session and the second, but those are already ticking through. The second session due to start, hopefully bang on time, at 09:32 in the morning. It's always a treat wherever you are, whether flying in or out of Japan, on the train, or particularly when you're standing on the foothills of Mount Fuji, to see Fuji-san poking ahead out of the top. And certainly this morning there were no clouds to be seen, which was almost like a major miracle in the rainy season here, but it looks set fair today. And what a circuit, what a setting. But let's go down to catch up with Amy Izawa, who's catching the very latest news from the pit lane.
カノ選手 GT4 クラストップ、ポールポジションとなりました。アジアですね、初の走行となりましたけれども、気持ちよかったんじゃないですか。
4台っていうのもあるんですけど、ただね、やっぱり昨日からも GT3 とね、もう36台なんで、なかなかクリアも取れなかったですけど、でも本当に予選的にはすごく気持ちよく走れましたね。はい。
It felt so good to drive this track. It was just 4 cars, so he had a really clean track ready. So it really felt pretty good, wonderful, and he's looking forward to the race. どのくらい自信がついたかと思いますか？
いや本当に車がね、本当に BMW アジアに1台だけのね、入ってきた車なんですけど、ものすごく車も賢いし、自信にはすごくなりましたよね。はい。
それではレース頑張ってください。
はい、了解です。頑張ります。
So for the race, it is a little bit tough with the other 36 cars of the GT3 cars, but because this car is just the only one which exists in Asia at the moment, it felt really just good to be the only one racing here, and it gave him a little bit of more, a push to the race, and yeah, he's just looking forward to it. ありがとうございました。おめでとうございます。
Thank you very much, Amy, and a very happy Masaki Kano there. So job well done, but of course they have to do it all over again. Hopefully he's imparted the requisite advice to Manabu Orido. Conditions, certainly the track temperature will be rising almost by the minute at the moment. Not much of a breeze to talk about here, but it's a beautiful early summer's day. And we're about to go out in GT4 qualifying all over again. Another 15-minute session. This will set the grid order for tomorrow's race. which is an earlier start. It'll be at 12 o'clock, midday on Sunday for race 2. But really today we're focusing on this next session, the 2 GT3 qualifying sessions, and then this afternoon's race. But we now know at least the grid order for the GT4 class for race 1 and its advantage. YZ Racing with BMW Team Studi and Masaki Kano clear by a second at the top of the field. Now it's the turn for their teammates. Manabu Arido will go out in the BMW for Team Studi. Akiland Racing's Toyota in the hands of Ryohei Sakaguchi. Then Hiromitsu Fuji in the K-Tunes Racing Toyota. And the lone Porsche, Sho Kobayashi, will be driving that around this fabulous Fuji Speedway circuit. 15 minutes to show their skills out around the track. And then will come the rolling thunder of 36. Yes, I did say 36. GT3 cars. It's going to be phenomenal. The only time there have been that many GT3 cars in a race was in Japan was the 2019 Suzuka 10 Hours. That's a one-off race, but this is a championship and it's a real huge boost. 2 years with no Fanatec GT Asia, but came back on the track last year. Started with just 8 cars at Sepang, but then grew and grew through the course of the season. But 40 cars here is an absolute record. And testament to all the effort that's gone into get GT racing back going again, and it really is going with a vengeance here in Southeast Asia and in Japan in particular. The very strong national racing scene, but 36 GT3 cars is something for everybody to shout out. Hot enough to need a little bit of cover from the sun. That's a very good fan setup, isn't it? With your awning, your table, your cameras, your cool box. Not their first rodeo, is it? So good to see. And as always at the circuit, we have so many photographers trying to catch this most scenic of settings and this incredible number of cars that are coming out to play. And the session is underway already. The lights are green, and the first car on the track is the first driver to get strapped in, which is, and we saw it happen, Manabu Arido. So that advantage of just curtailing the qualifying session just gave a little bit more time for the team to sort out Manabu and pop him down into the seat of that BMW. Hunkered down low, clear line of sight. As you can see, even between turn 2, just under the Audi Sport logo in the background, and then turning into turn 3, you've gone down, you climb up again, then you start dropping out of 3. Here he is, turn 4. Becoming turn 5, and then as the drivers turn through this long right-hander, taking a nice wide line at the moment, but not too wide, you don't want to be too far over to the left. Suddenly the driver is confronted with a huge wall of grass, which is the back of the paddock. Turning beneath that left-hander, opens out a little, and it tightens again. Drivers now start to go down the slope again, out towards the curbing on the outside, but you really want a good fling through the kink at turn 8, down to the lowest point on the circuit, and then we have the first of 2 right, left, right combinations. The first one just coming up now is the tighter of the pair. This is the lowest point on the track. Manabu Arido starting to climb. You got to, obviously in racing circumstances, you'd use a lot more of those curbs, but on this outlap, just trying to be smooth, calm, get the heat into those Pirelli tyres, and certainly the track temperature will be warming all the time, making it a rather easier job to do. Bring them on nicely, bring them on. The Akiland Racing Toyota will be the second car out onto the track, and it'll be Ryohei Sakaguchi at the wheel of that. And again, for the GT4 runners, they number only 4. But the number will grow through the course of the season. Hopefully, towards the end of the season, there'll be an individual GT4 race. There's certainly plenty of GT4 cars out competing in Japan, and already the numbers are indicating they will rise for Okayama in August. But Akiland Racing, you can see Ryohei Sakaguchi just getting the heat into the tyres. Now, as with all the drivers in GT4, clear track ahead. Also on the track, number 97, the K-Tunes Racing Toyota, the second of the 2 Toyotas on the track, meaning just waiting for the Caymania Racing Porsche to Cayman to come out, the Cayman 718. But right now for Manabu Arido, he's got everything he needs. He's got the car beneath him, he's got the heat into the tyres, he's got clear space in front of him. Up a slight rise, the left-hander at turn 3, which feeds, as you can see, almost immediately into turn 4. Down the slope he comes. Now, of course, the sector times will all be improved because the outlet will slow down the pace, starting to pick up. The one thing that Manabu Arido didn't want was anyone in its way, and immediately catches the tail of the K-Tunes Racing Toyota. That's on its outlap, so it's not travelling at great speed at the moment. Hiromitsu Fuji just trying to get heat into the tyres, but Manabu Arido picked his line around the outside, slightly compromised, but he knows the pace is in the car. He knows he's got the pace. Let's see if he too can get down into the 1 minute 47s. The best in Sector 1 by his teammate Masaki Kano to take pole for GT4 for this afternoon's race. A 1 minute 47.994 second lap. Don't expect it to be that fast this quickly for Manabu Arido, but that's his sort of target time. The other 3 runners from GT4 slightly later to get out onto the track. Only the second of them now, the Akadan Racing Toyota, just starting its flying lap. The other 2 still on their outlaps, but Manabu Arido, what's the first lap he's going to put onto the board? I'd reckon about a 1 minute 50 maybe, and then we'll work down from there, waiting for him to cross the start-finish line. Real heat haze there, bursting his way through there, powering through there. 1 minute 53.086, so again, rather slow, so he's taking 2 laps rather than 1 to get the heat in the tyres. In the background, the K-Tunes Racing Toyota weaving from side to side as it travels down the start-finish straight, just trying to find a few more degrees of tyre temperature to get these Pirelli to really grip these fabulous Pirelli slicks into turn 1. You can't see the exit when you turn in, as you can see from that shot, and it's even more in real life. Between turn 1 and turn 2, there's a massive drop off to the right. Certainly space to play when you're out in qualifying. Quite a different story when we're going to have 4 cars in this afternoon's race, and then again tomorrow. So enjoy the space while you can. And Ryohei Sakaguchi doing a nice, neat, tidy job in the Akadan Racing Toyota. Now he's back to lift completely. So again, a lot of these drivers deciding to take a second lap to get the heat into the tyres. They've got the track to themselves, just the 4 cars in GT4. So you shouldn't have any traffic. If you've made a mistake, back off. There's going to be space on the next lap. Do not worry. And at the moment, comparing the 2 Toyotas around the first sector of the lap, number 71 Ryohei Sakaguchi having a little bit more space in Hiromitsu Fuji. So Akadan Racing just a little faster than K-Tunes Racing. Here comes the Akadan Racing Toyota Supro car number 71 onto the start-finish straight to complete its first flying lap. The only time on the board, 1 minute 53.086 from Manabu Arido in the BMW. So what I'm sensing is also the track temperature is continuing to rise. And maybe it was the sweetest times would have been for the opening laps of the first GT4 qualifying session, but it's a very packed program of events, so there will be more rubber going down on the track all the time, particularly when we get the GT3 runners out very soon indeed. Their first of their 2 sessions due to start at 09:57, just before 10 o'clock. And again, like the GT4 runners, the cars will go out. Driver 1 in session 1, that's 15 minutes, then driver 2 in session 2, which is also 15 minutes. But I like saying this, 36 GT3 cars are going to come out to play. And if you look across, it's not just the sheer number that we've got here this weekend, it's also the fact that we have such diversity. Only 13 manufacturers have homologated GT3 cars. More on the way. The Ford Mustang will be coming for 2024, but the only one we haven't got, alongside Aston Martin, Audi, BMW, Chevrolet, Ferrari. I missed out BMW. I did miss out BMW. Ferrari, Honda, Lamborghini, Lexus, McLaren, Mercedes, Nissan, and Porsche. We're just missing a Bentley, so almost completist. Now, Sho Kobayashi been moving around a little bit as he tries to set his first flying lap. It won't be one that he'll regard as his very best. Still struggling just a little bit to get the Cayman to go where he wanted, but now he's certainly finding actually very tidy pace down the start-finish straight. Good exit from turn 16, which in its own way begats a sort of better run into the following lap. And in fact, his lap was so good he was fastest of all. There I was saying he made a little bit of a slip up in the middle sector. Maybe he was just pressing so hard, but the rest was good. And certainly the front end of the Cayman was washing away a little bit, but indicative in fact that Sho Kobayashi has set the best time, 1 minute 50.070. Is this going to be an improvement from Manabu Arido? More than certainly. Pretty sure we're going to see number 50 BMW any second now go to the top of the timesheets. What's he going to manage? Crosses the line. A 1 minute 47.567. Just finds a mere 2.5 seconds there. Pretty handy. And marginally quicker than Masaki Kano, driver looking on there in the garage, managed in the first of the sessions. So 1 minute 53, 1 minute 50, then kabam, 1 minute 47.5 seconds. So job being done very well indeed. 2.5 seconds clear of that lap in 1 minute 50.070 seconds, set by the Kamania Racing Porsche. That means the BMW from Porsche from Toyota, which is exactly the order it was in qualifying session number 1 for the GT4 runners. Will it stay in that order? If you look actually at the moment, another 2.2 seconds back from Kobayashi's Porsche pace to the best of the Toyota pace, the better of the Toyota pace. Looking at Ryohei Sakaguchi, I expect him to pick up his form. Yes, he's improving around this lap. He's slowest at 1 minute 54.298 seconds at the moment, but this lap certainly looks far, far better indeed. Again, the luxury of space on the circuit, allowing the driver to put the car exactly where they want it to be. That won't be the case when the GT3 runners are out. They're going to be many a driver ruining the fact they got too close to the car in front and wrecked their very best lap. I'll say that lap from Manabu Arida, 1 minute 47.567 seconds, was very, very impressive. I expect this lap from Ryohei Sakaguchi to move him from the bottom of the table. In terms of time, will he still stay 4th, or will that be good enough? No, it certainly looked rather better. 0.899 of a second down on the ultimate pace. That was a fantastic lap from Sakaguchi in the Akilan Racing Toyota. 1 minute 48.466 seconds. That puts Kobayashi in the Porsche back to 3rd. And at the moment, K-Tunes Racing, Hiromitsu Fuji bringing up the rear, but they're all improving their pace all of the time. And as I say that, Manabu Arida goes through 1 minute 47.203. Down the slope he goes, so he's picked off another quarter of a second. His advantage now 1.263 seconds over Sakaguchi, but they're all improving. In fact, the one who's struggling a little bit in terms of improvement, no, in fact, this lap he's picked up the pace again, is the 718 Porsche. Really, this session at the moment belonging, as the previous one did, to the BMW, top of the charts. It was clear by just over a second in qualifying session 1, and driver 2, which in this case is Manabu Arida, is clear by a similar margin this time around. Doesn't feel there's going to be a strong enough charge. In fact, look, he's backed off completely. So this is the down lap. Will he feel the need to stir himself for another flying lap next time around? And certainly at the moment, very, very impressive from Akilan Racing's Ryohei Sakaguchi, a driver I expected to be the quicker one in the pair because he's the silver one in the pairing. Of the drivers in the session, we've got 2 silvers. That's why they're in Silveram entries, Manabu Arida and Ryohei Sakaguchi, and they've proved their pace. They're top of the charts. All the other drivers in GT4 are bronze-ranked drivers, so you would expect them to be the 2 quickest drivers out there. Hiromitsu Fuji for K-Tunes Racing. Very, very busy race livery there. Quite plain and simple at the front. By the time it gets to the back, it's complete madness. Fabulous. As it approaches that super look, so it's just plain and simple, but the colours just added increasing numbers and ferocity as they get over the tail and flanks of that car. Oh, and another improvement for Sakaguchi. He's just over half a second down now. 1 minute 47.749 seconds, and the Porsche Cayman picked up its pace as well. 1 minute 49.8. So these are all good times. Anything under 1 minute 50 is good. And the last car in the group, car number 97, look at it now. Fuji is not improving on this lap. Maybe that was the down lap. He's done a 1 minute 51.3. So that's why he's 4 seconds off the pace. This surely would be no improvement unless it was magically quick at the end. In fact, he got very close to his best. Very close to his best. But his first 2 sectors were not good enough. Right, Manabu Arida has decided he will use the same playbook as his teammate did. Misaki Kano took pole in class and parked the BMW, and Manabu Arida has also entered into the pits, but his margin is much smaller. It's just over half a second at the moment. Waiting to see if there's going to be any response from Ryohei Sakaguchi, the other silver-ranked driver in the GT4 class, driving the Akilan Racing Toyota. This is the other Toyota, K-Tunes Racing, second in class, but 4th overall, because that's, if you're just joining us now, we have 2 Silveram class car in GT4, they're 1st and 2nd in this session, and 2 GT Am class runners in GT4. And this is one of those with Hiromitsu Fuji sharing this multicoloured K-Tunes Racing Toyota with fellow Japanese racer Masanori Nogami. And with all 4 of these entrants being Japanese, they're all running in the Japan Cup, which, to reiterate, the 6-round Fanatec GT Asia Series has 4 rounds in the middle, all held in Japan, at Fuji, at Suzuka, at Okayama, and at Motegi, and all the rounds in that stand as their sort of own championship within the middle of the 6-round overall championship. Not long until the checkered flag comes out, just under 2 minutes. Another improvement last time around from the Cayman. Porsche 718 now below 1 minute 49. That's very, very good indeed for Sho Kobayashi. Car 97 still the slowest of all. May have an improvement on this lap. First sector not so good. Second sector an improvement. Third sector, if he can improve in that, he will at least improve his time, as he does. 1 minute 50.686. So that he really built towards that. And Hiromitsu Fuji, 1 minute 50.686 seconds, so he found just over half a second there, so a good job. He's got time for this last lap. No one, of course, looks as though they've got the chance of toppling the number 50 BMW from YZ Racing with BMW Team Studio. That's in the pits. The only driver who was likely to really push is the 71 Akiland Racing's Ryohei Sakaguchi. He's also parked his car in the pits. So just 2 cars out on the track. The 97 K-Tunes Racing Toyota Supra, and also the 718 Porsche Cayman 718 in the hands of Sho Kobayashi. Kobayashi third overall and top in GT4 AM, and Hiromitsu Fuji here on our screens trying to do his everything to topple him. And you know what? He's making a stab of it. He's got to find 1.7 seconds, but he's improved on his first sector time. All he can do is try and string together his 3 best sectors. He was very good towards the end of the lap last time around. That's why he got into the 1 minute 50s, but to go ahead he has to get down into 1 minute 48, so it's a big, big ask. "20 seconds until the checkered flag will come out, and sector 2 has also been improvement for Fuji, but unfortunately the tail got away. That's why the tarmac's on the outside of the circuit. How galling. It improved in sector 1, improved in sector 2, maybe had just the outside of a chance of moving up to third overall, but a little spin there for Hiromitsu Fuji in the first of the uphill right, left, right combinations. The front, the tail just started to come around. The front couldn't help him out, and round it went. But windscreen wipers are simply going because he's hit the switch as the car rotated. The checkered flag is out, and 3 of the cars in the pits just waiting for the K-Tunes Racing Toyota to report back to the pit lane. No damage done other than to Pride. Tail was just getting a little bit lively, unsettled over the curves, and just the front and the back didn't want to work in partnership. Round he went, but it wasn't for want of trying. In fact, it was because of the trying, but that's what he was out there to do. But session at an end, and for YZ Racing with BMW Team Studi, pole for this afternoon's race, and now GT4 pole for tomorrow's race, which will be at midday on Sunday. So nice, neat, tidy session. What we're going to do very shortly is multiply the number of cars, boost their performance. We'll multiply it by 9 to move it up to 36 cars, boost their performance from GT4 to GT3. There's the Caymania Racing Porsche Cayman, number 7, being pushed back into garage, car number 718. GT4 AM pole position earned by Sho Kobayashi. And very, very packed pit lane here this weekend, as you can imagine, with 40 cars in all coming out to play in the Fanatec GT Asia Series. And as the GT4 cars are packed away, you can already see the slightly larger, more winged and dynamic-looking GT3 runners lined up in the shade, luckily for them, of the pit building. 36 will be coming out to play. And the real question is, after 2 days of practice in which almost every time he got in the car, Lucas Stoltz was fastest for the 88 888 JMR Mercedes crew. He was challenged by Dennis Lind in the first practice session in another Mercedes. That's from Climax Racing. But for the GT4 runners, looking at the car that's taken a double pole, YZ Racing with BMW Team Studio, the M4 GT4. Masaki Kano took pole for this afternoon's race, and Manabu Orido went even faster, 1 minute 47.203 seconds, to be half a second clear of an increasingly rapid Ryohei Sakaguchi, who ended up second overall in the Akiland Racing Toyota. So the time you need to remember, it's 9:57, so just over 7 minutes from now, and then the GT3 runners will be due out onto the circuit. 36 of them in all. 15 minutes to find out which of them is going to be fastest to take pole for this afternoon's race. Then we'll repeat it all over again to decide the grid order for Sunday's race here at Fuji Speedway. track conditions looking absolutely fabulous. This is rainy season, and certainly for the drivers on Thursday, they saw every form, shape and size and degree of rain that you could possibly imagine. So they'll be very relieved to see how dry it is today. But then again, if you have a load of test sessions, practice sessions, when it's very, very rainy, that's no bad thing, because if rain comes in on race day, you've only driven in the dry, then you could be struggling. But that was fantastic. Second GT4 session, and let's go down after this qualifying to Amy.
土日ともに P1 からのスタートとなりましたけれども、この速さ何なんでしょう。
いや今年モデルの新しい BMW の M4 なんですけども、ヨーロッパでも活躍して速さを見せている車で非常にねパフォーマンスが高くて、ドライブしやすくてスピードも速いっていうすごくいい車ですね。はい。
So this is a new model of the BMW, and we have been following those cars in Europe, and this is the first time to be driving in Asia, and it's been just showing so much great drivability, and you can just sit in it and it goes very easy, and just the speed is there, so he's very, very satisfied with this car. And let's ask him what the magic behind it. その速さの何でしょう、秘密というか秘訣をぜひ掘り下げて教えていただきたいです。
いや今日はねすごく富士スピードは天気も良くてコンディションも最高で、タイヤもすごくグリップ感があったし、あと車も昨日だいぶバランスセットを変えていい感じが出たんで、それがこの予選につながったと思いますね。はい。
So the weather is also beautiful. The grip is great. It's there, and the conditions today are just for this car, and it was just perfect conditions. That's what it's saying. And for the race tomorrow, he's hoping all the best, and 頑張ってください. He will try his best.
Well, thank you very much to Amy Izawa down there with Manabu Orido. So YZ Racing with BMW Team Studi went out for 2 qualifying sessions, and they only went and took pole for both of them. So job very well done. First by Masaki Kano and then Manabu Orido. So it was about getting it neat and tidy. And we're about to have a look at the highlights of those 2 GT4 qualifying sessions. And really the key was on a track that only had 3 other cars on it for any of the 4 competitors was to get the perfect lap. And they had the space to do that. And certainly both the BMW drivers built up their pace, got the heat into their Pirelli rubber, and really started to press on. They wanted to see if they could outrun the 2 Toyota Supras entered by Akiland Racing and K-Tunes Racing, and also the Porsche Cayman 718 of K-Mania Racing. And both the drivers showed how neat and tidy they were. Not only the fastest car outright in both the 2 sessions, but also top in the Silver AM class. Akiland Racing really pressed on, notably in the 2nd session, where Masayoshi Oyama handed over to Ryuhei Sakaguchi, and he picked up the pace and worked his way to the front, as denoted the way he should, because he too was a silver ranked driver. Heat haze on the start-finish straight, so certainly the conditions were getting warmer and warmer. It was about it keeping it neat, tidy, no traffic in the way, so there were no excuses for the drivers around this 16-turn circuit, and a few moments right at the end there. Rotation for the K-Tunes Racing car. At the very end, the final lap for Hiromitsu Fuji, no damage done. The session was completed, but it all belonged to YZ Racing with BMW Team Studi. Did the job not once, but twice. They will have 2 poles, first for today's race, and then for the 2nd race, which will be held here at Fuji Speedway tomorrow at midday at noon. It'll be hot, it'll be humid, it'll be very, very busy indeed. But it was a double success for the Team Studi guys in their BMW M4 GT3. Masaki Kano took the first pole, and Manabu Orido the 2nd. And now with Mount Fuji, the top of the volcano, just tucked behind clouds and just rolling in a little bit. It's still a beautiful day here at Fuji Speedway. But if you think you're hearing the sound of thunder approaching, we're about to have 36 GT3 cars. That's what you'll be hearing coming out to qualifying. So really, the GT4 was the warm-up act, but this is a very, very rich, well, we've moved on from a starter to the richest of main courses, if you will. 36 cars, an absolute record that equaled the field for the Suzuka 10 hours back in 2019 in those pre-pandemic days. And it's grown and grown, and testament to all the people involved in the Fanatec GT World Challenge Asia series for getting the cars together. Car Guy Racing took the title last year. They've got a new car this year, the glorious-looking Ferrari 296 GT3. And in fact, last year's car, the car with which they won the outright title, Ferrari 488 GT3, now in the hands of Comet Racing. We'll see their car out on the track. In the first session, it will have Yusuke Yamasaki at the wheel, and then Yorikatsu Sujiko will come out to play in that. And another car that last year was in one set of hands, it's in a new set this year. It's the Meizawa Racing 488 GT3 Evo, which was last year's Silver Cup winning car in the hands of Yagibo Racing last year. Now, just mentioning some of the cars as they're about to come out, some of the drivers, 8 of this field have every reason to feel a little bit jet lagged, because last weekend they were competing in the 100th, the centenary Le Mans 24 hours. And in fact, one car, a Kessel Racing Ferrari, had 3 of them in there together. Kei Cozzolino, Yorikatsu Sujiko and Naoka Yokomitsu. They're split between 3 different cars this weekend, just to keep things interesting. But the car that will be first onto the track will be driven by another driver, the Indonesian driver, who was also one of the octet of drivers from this series competing at Le Mans last weekend. Andrew Haryanto will be sharing with James Yukai, but it's Andrew from Indonesia who'll be out in this first session. Car Guy Racing number 1 on the flanks, because they won the championship last year. And Takeshi Kimura, another of the drivers who was competing at Le Mans last weekend for Kessel Racing in a Ferrari, will be at the wheel of that brilliant bright yellow, almost an acid yellow Ferrari. Look at the heat haze, count the number of cars. Even in that first queue, just tucked in behind the pit wall, I can see at least 10 before they go out of view. Another 10, 15 cars lining up in the background, almost jockeying for position to get into this line of cars that will go out onto the circuit in just over 20 seconds. The light will go green, and it's going to be so hard for the drivers across the 15-minute qualifying sessions to get a clear lap. They're going to have to fight for them. They're going to have to work for free stretches of tarmac. And don't forget, of course, we've got the Pro-Am class, we've got the Am class, we've got the Silver class, so we've got many different categories of drivers competing together. Of course, they all want the outright pole, but they also just want to get the class pole. Lights have gone from red to green. Off we go. Andrew Haryanto leading the field out onto the track, and the Absolute team, or to give them their full name, Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute, got the cars to pit exit first. The second car in the line is Sun Jingsu. Look at the race delivery, it's absolutely fabulous job done by a lot of these teams. A few of them we saw for the first time. 25 cars were at Buriram, 20 of them came here. Because we've got a 40-car field, you don't have to work too hard on the maths to understand that we've added 20 new entries this weekend, drawn by the Japan Cup. We also have the contiguous China Cup. And we've got 4 cars entered in that. That's for teams entered from China as well. Craft Bamboo Racing car number 77, one of the Mercedes in the field, tucked in behind the Lexus. It's great to have a different manufacturer on board, and that's from K-Tunes Racing. We just saw their Toyota running in the GT4 session, but up the power somewhat to get the Lexus in GT3. Great looking car, the RCF. Now, Car Guy Racing, cool car collected. Takeshi Kimura waits until, I think, haven't quite done the maths. Pretty much everybody else is out on the track. The Corvette. Oh, it just looks magnificent. C7 GT3 are absolutely lurid, crazy, bonkers, bingo racing livery. And that absolutely stands out. You know this circuit, this championship is one based in Asia, because there is a place in the world that has more crazy car designs in terms of their race livery. Car Guy Racing run that really, really crisp livery. Car number 2 coming in the background has a split livery. That's Climax Racing, entered from China. They've got the different colours on their flanks. 2 and 3 coming out together, as you can see on the right-hand side as we look at it. Number 2's got the yellow flank. That's Su Biwang, and Hu Yuki tucks in behind with the blue flank. But look, as they're coming out onto the circuit, McLaren in the left-hand side coming out to play as well. Already fields of packed groups of cars coming around. Oh dear, for car number 13, it's gone for a rotation. That was the second one out of the pits, and that was Sun Jingsu who got it wrong, so that's not helped. He'll have to use this lap for warming his tyres all over again. Mistake didn't involve everybody else, but I think it was that real case of the quick cars on starting their first flying lap, just getting caught up with those coming out of the pit, so running at a lower pace. But for Jingsu Sun, he's going to have to just get it cool, calm, connected. It was a very low speed rotation, shouldn't have taken too much out of the tyres. It was also just as the track started to drop into the dip there, so there shouldn't be too much friction to put flat spots on. just sounds so much deeper as these cars go around the track. Timu and Matsu, just looking at their blue McLaren 720S, very similar colour to this one, number 13 Audi from Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute, that had that little rotation. Nobody can mistake the Corvette for anything else. Yellow with the cartoons all down its flanks and all over the tail as well. The driver in the Corvette at the moment is Shinji Takai. He'll be showing with Akira Ida, incredibly illustrious Japanese racer. So waiting for the first flying laps to be put on the board that will count, and the practice sessions were, both of them were topped yesterday in dry conditions by a pair of Mercedes. The first Mercedes Climax Racing, Dennis Lind, top practice session 1 with a time of 1 minute 39.4, then 1 minute 39, almost flat for 888 JMR. First flying lap on the board, 1 minute 44.712 seconds, the number 11 Audi in the hands of Andrew Harrianto, but only 3 cars put time on the board yet. Others coming in thick and fast, and that little spin for Jingsu Sun dropped in way off the pace, 1 minute 55.5 seconds. But the most important thing for him was not to put a flat spot on his Pirellis. Oh, it's a sight when the GT3 cars don't just fill one timing page on the timing screen, they go on to the second. 36. This is a record. The championship going from strength to strength, and right now this is the opening round of the Japan Cup, so extra impetus for those trying to go for that separate but conjoined championship. We'll talk more of that later, but at the moment it's a car that was first out of the pits that still holds the best flying lap by the margin of 2 seconds. Andrew Harrianto, there he is, car number 11. Getting a little bit caught behind the number 2 Climax Racing Mercedes. Going around this lap, where are the changes going to come? Now we've got a different car at the top, car number 19. It's the Spirit of FFF Racing Lamborghini. The one Lamborghini in the field has now gone to the top. The times will settle down shortly, but the real story is the pace is starting to come. And as you can see for Andrew Harrianto, you set a good time, then you get behind a driver who's not yet fully up to speed, a driver who came out a lap later, and that's why it's a little bit slow. He's going to have to back it off a little bit and then build up the speed all over again. Onto the start-finish straight he goes, did exactly that, dropped off the tail of that Climax Racing Mercedes, and now has got a little bit of space to play with. New driver in second place, car number 1, Takeshi Kimura. It's one of the last cars out of the pit. It was the bright yellow car guy racing Ferrari, but that's suddenly become third, because at the top of the charts, actually, it was Zhu Bizhuang in that number 2 Climax Racing Mercedes. I thought it was just picking up its pace, and there is the car that fleetingly was top, and now we've got a McLaren at the very top of the table, but great to see that Lamborghini from FFF going so well. The Neki Akura GT3 AM class as well, that's worth pointing out. At the moment we've got a Silver Cup class with at the very top of the table, Ling Kang, Phantom Pro Racing, another Chinese entered car actually. It's an Audi for them, that's at the top, so the times are changing thick and fast. Best time so far, 1 minute 39.092, set in practice yesterday. That was when the drivers were able to work a little bit of space for themselves in the longer sessions. Lights blazing, the Lamborghini, going to see if he can stay up near the top. Car number 19, however, is nowhere near the top. Oh, now improved, sorry. Best time just gone in, 1 minute 40.845 seconds. Car Guy Racing had been going well. That's now number 9, has dropped back to 9th place. This lap will be better, could put it back to the very top of the charts again. That super sleek 296 GT3. Great comparison with the 488 GT3 just going across the line in front of it. Takeshi Kimura fell to 9th, up to 3rd place, but it's the number 19 that's at the top again. That brilliant second flying lap from Mineki Akura in the Lamborghini. Piti Birambakti, another new entry this weekend. Maizawa Racing, entered by the great entrepreneur Yusaki Maezawa, who lent a car here last year when someone needed one, but that's going very well indeed. A better lap from car number 11, Andrew Harrianto, just out of the bottom of the shop there. Goes back up to 2nd place, which immediately becomes 3rd. You hardly can look at a timing screen for the rate of change. So 1 minute 40.845. The only other drop is Mineki Akura in the Lamborghini 992, which is the entry from Absolute Racing. Their Porsche, Bao Jinlong, just also under 1 minute 41. No one else quite breached it. Looking for the big guns though, looking for some of the Mercedes runners to see whether they can work their way to the top. But now, new identity. There's car 992, 3rd fastest at the moment, Jinlong Bao. Looks great, red with the gold livery. Very good looking car. Hirabon has gone suddenly from nowhere to second fastest for the team Gojigan. Nissan Nismo, great to have a couple of those in the field this weekend. Run Up Sports have got one as well. 992 though, Jinlong Bao trying to pick up the pace, doesn't improve in the first sector. I'll tell you who does though, look out for a car that's constantly near the top, Phantom Pro Racing with their Audi. Ling Kang pressing on. Now, it really is about drivers not tripping each other, but 72, great looking car, the Hub Auto Racing Porsche. Maurice Chen in this first session. He's pressing on, he's got a very handy teammate in Alvaro Parent, who'll be out in the second of the GT3 sessions later on. So we're past halfway, target time now 1 minute 40.658, so yet another improvement from the number 19 Spirit of FFF Racing Lamborghini. Mineki Akura cleared by 0.3 of a second from Hirabon. 992 tries to fight back. Jinlong Bao, don't think he's going to improve. He got a little bit caught in traffic, does not improve. Kang Ling third fastest, and Fanfare D-Station Racing based just down the slope from the Fuji Speedway, fifth fastest with their Aston Martin. And bear in mind that Satoshi Hashino, one of the 8 drivers in this field who were competing at Le Mans last weekend. A very, very tiring program for those drivers. Car 500, second fastest in the hands of Hirabon. May have an improvement this time around. He's gone down to 4th fastest. He puts another lap in. Oh, so close to his best, but we've now got another car that's moved to the top of the field. 2 cars that have gone ahead of Acura in the Lamborghini. Top at the moment is car number 29, which is Kang Ling, Chinese driver, Phantom Pro Racing in their Audi. Second best at the moment, car number 9. Haven't talked about Bingo Racing too much apart from its crazy livery in the Corvette. That is second fastest, just 0.1 of a second in arrears. Traffic here, traffic there. Oh, 992 flashing the headlights. He wants the car in front to keep out of his way. Oh, isn't it great to be here at Fuji Speedway with a couple of Nissan Nismo GTRs. Such an iconic car in GT racing. And then the sort of lower, sleeker shape of the McLaren 720S, just 20S, just in the background. Fastest at the moment, this car, Kang Ling, Phantom Pro Racing Audi. What's his problem? He's stuck behind another car. It's not a slower car particularly because it's one of the 888 Mercedes. It's the 888 entry driven at the moment by Prince Abdul Raham Ibrahim, but he wants that car out of the way. So for Kang Ling, he's just, you can see he just backed it off in that aquamarine coloured Audi. That's along with the pink flashes to help distinguish it. Still top. Right, I'll give you the names. How many people have got below 1 minute 41? At the moment, we're looking at 9, down to Jinlong Bao in that 992 Porsche we've been Audi we've been looking at short moments ago from Absolute Racing. The fastest driver so far, Kang Ling. Brilliant first sector, not a bad second sector, but his lap was, you can see it was blocked by the 888 Racing Mercedes. He's hung back, now he's got the space. 888 Mercedes just turning into turn 1. 1, 2, 3 seconds, in comes Kang Ling. Is he going to have a good enough lap to A, improve, or will he be battled passed by those in behind? Looking to see who's setting the quick time. 1 is coming from a car we haven't talked about too much. It's Anthony Liu, a winner in the opening round at Buriram, because his 37 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes is looking very good if he can complete the lap. He's at the moment 0.2 of a second down on the ultimate pace. Just waiting for him to cross the line, but we've got a new name at the top. We're looking at 37, and you know what? It's the sister car, it's 87, R&B Racing Porsche at the moment with Liu Yihong Li that goes to the top. 1 minute 40.119, but let's see this brilliant coloured yellow and red Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Anthony Liu, already a winner in the championship in the opening round, waiting for him to cross the line and for that time to move him up to 4th. 1 minute 40.650. Backed off a little bit in that final sector, but sectors 1 and 2 were something to build on. Only 3 minutes remain. Are we going to go below 1 minute 40? Well, we got down to 1 minute 30.092 seconds, but the big problem here in these quick-fire 15-minute qualifying sessions is simply the traffic and working your way through, not getting interrupted, being able to get the maximum out of your tyres. Looking down the field, we've got a big spread of time. The slowest car, the number 360, the Run Up Sports, the second of the Nismos, is at the moment 6 seconds off the pace. So when you have a car that's that far off the pace, you know it really can be a trouble for the quick ones when they're coming through in qualifying. Now bear in mind, in a lot of the driver combinations, the driver in the second session is the quicker one, so maybe we shouldn't be expecting anyone in the 1 minute 39s, but it could be a big accolade for anybody who manages it. Looks like a nice tidy lap from the car and the driver who are 4th at the moment, 37 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes car 87, Liu Yihong Li. Haven't seen too much of this one, but hasn't been done by subterfuge, it's been done by pace. R&B Racing, Porsche, Liu Yihong Li, 1 minute 40.119. It's not going to improve on this lap. His first sector wasn't good, his second sector wasn't good. In the background, AMAC Motorsport looking to cross the line and improve on the best performance for them. That's Andrew McPherson. He's down in 34th position. Yeah, 34th in a 36 car field. There is the IMAC Porsche tucked in behind car number 77. Saw that right at the start of the session. That's second of the Craft Bamboo cars in the hands of Jeffrey Lee, a driver from Taipei. Waiting to see the pace of the 888 JMR Mercedes. And that's Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim in the 888. At the moment he's down in 16th position, so just in the top half of the field. Now what he's got is a minute on the clock. That's fine, it'll be the final lap for him, but importantly for the 888 entry, there is clear track ahead, so this is the moment in which a driver can really strike, and there can be no complaints if they get it wrong. It's only up to them. But look, that wonderful stretch for about 5 seconds in front of him. The Corvette's coming through in behind, and that's a car that really has been going well for Bingo Racing. Third fastest, Shinji Takai. D-Station Racing, Aston Martin in the pits at the moment, so don't expect an improvement for Satoshi Hoshino. He is 6th fastest, so maybe they've just decided to do that thing where you come in early and give more time to your teammate. In his case, that would be Tomonobu Fuji, to get his thoughts together before going out in session number 2. But will 6th place stay in the hands of Hoshino? Who else is improving? Shinji Takai. Riding on board at the moment with Takeshi Kimura, the number 1 Ferrari from Car Guy Racing. That's down in 18th place. Needs to find the best part of just over a second. But what he does have now appears to be clear track, which could be absolute manna from heaven. Just checking for pace. Takeshi Kimura. Yeah, he's improved in sector 1. He's improved in sector 2. We could be seeing a place gain of maybe even half a dozen positions, maybe 10. But at the moment, Kimura's down in 18th place. And that target time, 1 minute 40.119 seconds, I think will be away from him, but certainly I'm expecting an improvement, and he moves up the chart very nicely. He goes up, gains 4 positions, gained quite as many as I thought, but moves up to 14th overall, but that is going to keep on changing. The checkered flag is out at the end of the session. Still seeing cars we haven't seen so much. It's so hard to catch them all with 36 cars going out across 15 minutes. Shinji Takai pushing on very hard in that Corvette. It's going to be an improvement from him. He's banged in the fastest first sector of anyone. Middle sector not good. He's about half a second down, but you know what? He's not going to let us know. He's going to enter the pit lane. Good stint from the Corvette though. Checkered flag is out. Still that target time of Liu Yihong Li, top of the charts, car number 87. R&B Racing Porsche. Where are the changes coming? They're not coming at the top. A lot of drivers, very few drivers setting improvements actually, other than the odd sector here or there. So we may just have that grid. Still cars come through. Are we going to get any movement at the very top of the field? Looking through the heat haze for anyone else coming to complete another lap. There's Liu Yihong Li, the green tail of his Porsche on the left-hand side. Car number 87 down the start finish straight. He goes, no improvement surely coming his way. He didn't improve in sector 1 or sector 2. Actually, frankly, might as well have parked it. But his best, 1 minute 40.119 seconds, puts him ahead of Kang Ling. Top runners in, they're both Silver Cup entries. Pro-Am entry, Shinji Takai in the Bingo Racing Corvette was 3rd overall and top in that class, and the top AM class, and hats off to them. Entry car number 19, the Spirit of FFF Racing, Mineki Akura in the lone Lamborghini Huracan. Very good job from him to be 5th fastest overall, and looking at his times, he did about 3 consecutive laps, very, very close. But the session belonged to Liu Yihong Li, so a very good stint from him there, not only to set the time, but to manage to find the space with which to lay down that pace in that metallic green Porsche. So for a lot of the teams, that would have been a struggle, making space out of the track, getting the heat right in their tyres, finding the grip. And what we're really seeing this weekend, it's been, for a lot of them, it's been a case of building up with a couple of flying laps before everything's got together. Great to see the Honda NSX in the field, and that's from KCMG, the team based in Hong Kong. And that was Paul Lipp, boss of the team. He's sharing with Eduardo Liberati, but the NSX GT3, a very, very attractive GT3 car, it must be said. So now for the teams, it's all about mixing it up, changing driver 1 to driver 2. What have they learnt? Rubber certainly would have been going down with all 36 of those GT3 runners out on the track at the same time. The mix of cars, absolutely phenomenal. I'll just run through it again. Aston Martin, Audi, BMW, Chevrolet, Ferrari, Honda, Lamborghini, Lexus, McLaren, Mercedes, Nissan and Porsche. Only one other GT3 manufacturer is out there without a car in the field. And that's of the currently homologated cars, and that's Bentley. But this is a phenomenal field. A record here in Japan. 36 GT3 cars sharing the track later on in the race with the 4 from GT4. But right now they're sharing the pit lane. As you can see, it's a very, very busy place to be. So neat and tidy. And there we have 87 is the team. Top of the table, R&B Racing with the Porsche driver 1 out. That's Liu Yi Hong Li. Second fastest, car 29, Phantom Pro Racing, Audi, Lin Kang. And Shinji Takai, third fastest, the Bingo Racing Corvette C7 GT3R. He'll be handing over to Akira Aida. But the driver getting on board the 87 Porsche is Bo Yuan, who's had quite a lot of success in this series over the years. And for a lot of them, it was a 2-year hiatus in terms of racing. And with the pandemic, it's great to have everyone back on board to see what they can do. This is the opening round of the Japan Cup, and 40 cars in all. Looking down in the pit lane, you can see that the flag's blowing a little bit. There is a breeze now working its way down the track from the start of the start-finish straight to the end. That's the way you want it, to give you the following wind, but then again you will be arriving a little bit faster than you may have realised when you get down to the first turn. Bingo Racing, I think I need a course in understanding car graphics, but this one certainly very interesting. Well, we mentioned R&B Racing were fastest with their Porsche. The driver was Liu Yi. Let's go down to Amy, who's caught up with him.
Congratulations on your pole position. Must be a great feeling to be on P1 with all these cars.
Well, we are silver car, so against all the bronze driver, we should have some advantage. But actually, I didn't feel very excited because we haven't get a pace we wanted. We were struggling with the setup a little bit this weekend, and in this qualify, because we are qualified with bronze drivers, so it's very difficult to find a good track position, so I only get 1 lap. But after all, we get pole position. That's the most important thing.
What are you expecting for the race?
Well, we try to pull away and give my teammates some good space.
All the good luck to you. Back to Bruce.
Job very well done, and Liu Yi and Bo Yuan have shared cars before, and they've had wins before, but I'm just looking at my records back in the championship when it was Blancpain GT Asia. They were winners in a Porsche. There we are, 2019. Liu Yi and Bo Yuan. It's now the turn of Bo to go out. The car that's front of the line is 911 Absolute Racing AAS Motorsport. This is a car that had a lot of success. 2 second places. Vutikon Itrufuvasak did the first session. Now Alessio Picariello, yet another of the octet of drivers from this championship who was competing last weekend in the centenary of the Le Mans 24 Hours. So that's the life of a professional racing driver these days, getting on planes and travelling around the world. But that's also indicative of the growth of GT3. And don't forget, next year, the GT class at Le Mans will no longer be GTE, it will be GT3, these cars, and they are fighting for places on the entry list. So again, we've seen teams graduating in this series from GT4 last year to compete in GT3. 3 teams went up to GT4. This is what you want in motor racing. It's about moving up the ladder, and a lot of these teams will have an eye on an entry to Le Mans. But right now, their eye is focused on only one thing, and that is to set a really, really quick time to decide the grid for tomorrow's race. We've already got pole for this afternoon's race. That was Liu Yi. We just heard from him. So R&B Racing have pole for the first of the 2 races here at Fuji Speedway. Now, get out on the track, make yourself some space, but just admire, look up and down the order, all these different shapes and sizes of cars. A pair of McLarens coming out together. Car number 17, that's Kref Motorsport. That should be Masataka Inoue. And just behind was the other McLaren in the field. the Lexus, car number 96, also coming out into pit lane. K-Tunes Racing. That's Morio Nitta who's just taken that one over. The Lamborghini, car number 19, the Spirit of FF Racing. Mineki Akura drove it. Now Hiroshi Hamaguchi, who has been Mr. FFF Racing, is going to see what he can do. But already fighting for position. The two cars that were first and second out on the track both want to be at the front of the queue. The number 911 Porsche, Alessio Picariello, the Belgian, who's done so much of his racing over here, had so much success, is scrapping with Richie Stanaway. Now the Kiwis are taking the seat normally filled by Brock Feeney, but Brock, a young supercar racer from down under in Australia, is actually competing at Darwin this weekend, so it's the turn of the Kiwi to step up and get back into the fray. Last few years haven't been as busy as he would have liked, but certainly looking to make his mark, and as soon as he hangs back from the tail of the 911 Porsche, he's got 992 all over him. Absolute Racing's Alexandra Imperatori. Now Bo Yuan waiting, cool, calm and collected, but not out onto the circuit as the clock continues to count down. Would there be a problem? Because this car was the car that set pole for race 1. Maybe they're just waiting for everyone else to have a little bit of a go, but I would have had the car out there. Maybe there's a problem. Keep an eye on that, because that's a car that's clearly got the pace. But not able to show it. So, car leading around in pole position, if you will. But he wants the clear track, and Alessio Picariello, who got out of the pits first, he resisted that challenge for track position as they warmed up their tyres from Richie Stanaway. Stanaway's falling back a little bit, but the car guy racing Ferrari, the brand new 296 GT3, with last year's champion Kei Cozzolino's come out in front of the Porsche. He's on his outback, so he's just going to get heat into his tyres. Still 5 cars come out of the pits. The Lamborghini tried to pull wide to let everyone through and nearly went off the circuit at the final corner. Right, Bo Yuan has got going, and the D-Station Racing, Aston Martin in the background, with Fuji, regular in the World Endurance Championship, coming out as well. We should have the full field of 36 cars out on the track. Alessio Picariello, car number 911, slightly delayed maybe by Kei Cozzolino, has got past him, but really his best time isn't going to be on this lap. He's making space where he thought he had space made, but with so many cars coming out a little bit late into this 15-minute qualifying session, what should have been the dream ticket for Alessio Picariello has not. He's become mired in traffic. The number 11 Absolute Racing Audi just in front of him, the sister Absolute Audi just in front of him. That's car number 13, so 11 in the hands now of James Yu Kwai and Frankie Cheng Kong Fu, the metallic blue Audi, right in front of Alessio Picariello, who won't be too impressed in this. You've got to roll the dice and hope you have the luck. Yes, he's getting a bit of a slipstream, but the 13 Audi is on its out lap, whereas he wanted a really good flying lap with nobody blocking him. Picariello's got to sort of just reappraise. 1 minute 41.848 seconds. That's a pretty quick time as a first flyer. Nobody else even close to that, but only 3 other drivers who made it. In fact, Lucas Stoltz goes to the very top, just not too far back down the track, second of the 888 JMR Mercedes, but Stoltz was the driver who was fastest in the wet, and yesterday in the dry, and he goes below 1 minute 40, 1 minute 39.998. Lucas Stoltz not to drive a demonstrative out of the car, but when he's in it, he's just phenomenal. There he is, but yeah, he has traffic. Everyone's going to have traffic of some sort at some point. Including him, he's up behind one of the quicker cars in the field. So at the moment, it's now Lucas Stoltz, only a dozen drivers who've set fast laps so far. Lucas Stoltz by half a second, just over, from the number 25, which is NK Racing, which is another Porsche. It's Mercedes from Porsche, Tsubasa Kondo. Alessio Picariello, slightly blocked by traffic, is third at the moment. As you can see, everywhere you look, traffic, traffic, traffic. If it doesn't catch you at some point, it may catch you at another. But Lucas Stoltz riding curbs a little bit, but his first sector on this lap, no improvement. His second sector on the lap, because of traffic, no improvement. Just at the point where you think your tyres probably coming to their sweet spot. If you see traffic up ahead, you've got several choices, and one of which is just to back off. But right at the moment, he's about to come in the pits. Yep, no. Yes, he is. Okay, late decision. Coming into the pits, traffic in his way. Knowing Luca, he probably just wants a tiny bit of pressure onto the tyres and to the tyres. And another driver who's famous for success in the Mercedes has just moved to the top of the table, joining the champions this weekend, Danny Juncadella. Intercontinental GT champion last year, 1 minute 39.255 seconds. That's in the yellow and red Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. We saw going very well in the hands of Anthony Liu in the first session. He's top car 37, 39.255 seconds. Second fastest, number 25 NK Racing Porsche. Tsubasa Kondo, Alessio Picariello still in third. There's Tsubasa. Bright car. NK Racing teams that have stepped up to GT4 to GT3. Doing a very good job in Thailand, and again here looking very competitive. Danny Yonkadale, though, that fastest time, very impressive. Just not hanging around, never does. Frequently drives with very top drivers from Mercedes rosters of drivers. Placing with teams all around the world. So it's a good ticket if you're on their books. What of Kay Cozzolino, last year's champion, down in 20th position, but he's knitting together a very good lap in the car drive racing Ferrari. Car 25, Kondo at the moment there is a messy second and third sector. He looks as though he too is going into the pits, or maybe he just moving over the track right. No, there we go. So yeah, he's trying to get out of the line there, but yeah, he's coming into the pit. So waiting for the lap from Kay Cozzolino, who's fallen down to 24th position, waiting for him to complete the lap down. This shows the difference. These are longer pros in a Pro-Am driver lineup. They just want changes to their cars. And Kay Cozzolino, we wait. He goes 24th to first. 1 minute 39.174 seconds, 81 thousandths of a second faster than the best set by Danny Yonkadea. But Cargo Racing slightly late out in the session, came out just in front of the fast runners. Down the hill after turn 2 towards turn 3. Up a slight rise into the corner. Curb on the inside doesn't use too much. You see many a car rattling over the curb on the outside there because he wants to set up the car for these turns. Turn 4 and 5. Neat, tidy, very quick looking indeed. First timing sector, it's an improvement. So should we get a driver into the 1 minute 38s for the first time this weekend? At the moment it's the best time. Just a tenth of a second away from the very best time set in practice. And in practice there weren't cars all over the circuit at the same time, but right now Cozzolino, the Japanese-Italian driver, setting very tidy looking sectors. Well, he's got some cars up ahead. I think he may be all right. These twists as the cars come up the hill from turn 10, you can get so blocked. There's the KCMG Honda. 2 cars further back is Kay Cozzolino. He's faster than anybody else he'd been in the first sector, faster than he'd been in the second sector on the lap, but still at the top of the charts. Another driver looking very good. Haven't talked about him too much, Seijiara. Plus with BMW Team Studio, BMW M4 GT3, hope to see him shortly, but he is now very close. Top 4 cars covered by 0.3 of a second. How fast will Cozzolino go? Will he get into 1 minute 38? Slightly obstructed towards the end of the lap, but he's improved in sector 1, improved in sector 2. Surely this hasn't been delayed too much in sector 3. Well, he improved by a tiny margin, 139.117 seconds, but a little bit of traffic there. But now, look how much traffic he's got in front of him. Now, this is the car I was looking for. 4th fastest at the moment. Seijiara, car number 5. BMW M4 GT3. We've seen an M4 GT4 take the 2 class poles for GT4's race today and tomorrow. Got the overall race of the GT4 class, but now Seijiara, again, slightly marred in traffic. Looking for sector times, are they good? Well, first sector was the ultimate, second sector, nope. Traffic has rather scuppered him, and the clock is not his friend. 5.5 minutes remain. Margins are tiny. The first second covers the top 13 cars, and expect more from Lucas Stoltz. He's a driver in 13th place. He's a driver, one of about a half dozen who came into the pits for adjustments, and Stoltz wouldn't have moved out of a 15-minute practice qualifying session if you reckon there wasn't an improvement to be had from changing something on the car. So don't discount the driver of car number 88. Seijiara has fallen now. Dennis Lint is a driver who's made the change. Looking to see who moved up into second place, just 0.128 of a second down. The number 2 Climax Racing Mercedes of Danish driver Dennis Lint, who was faster, the fastest of all in one of the practice sessions yesterday. That was the opening practice session. So he is going very well indeed. Now, sensible decision to Seijiara, stuck in traffic, pull to the side of the circuit, make a gap, and then go for it. He's still got time, 4.5 minutes remain. Richie Stanaway has just moved up the treble 8. We saw his Mercedes from Triple 8 Racing fighting so hard to be the first car in the line with Alessio Picariello. And he has just moved out. He's obviously made space, moved up to 4th fastest. He's just It's only 0.143 of a second off pole. It's nothing. Number 2 at the moment. Here's Dennis Lind with the yellow flash up one side of his Climax Racing Mercedes. Is there an improvement? Not this time. He had the traffic. Up in front was a car that went very well early in the session as well. So you can just see so many cars going to the top of the table. The person who has gone to the top of the table is Dennis Lind. There he is, car number 2. Just moved to the front by 0.087 of a second from Kay Cozzolino. Can last year's champion fight back in the Car Guy Racing Ferrari, the brand new 296 Ferrari from Car Guy Racing. Like D-Station Racing, based just down the slope from the circuit here, just below the east entrance. There are 2 team bases. Oh dear, for Dennis Lind, he just didn't want that number 29 Phantom Pro Racing Audi in his way. Calqui really blocked him, so that's this lap taken care of. He's now still got clear track ahead of him, but he's got to hope no one comes out in front of him in the pits. Build up, treble 8. Watch for this one. Richie Stanaway, 4th fastest, just under a quarter of a second down on the ultimate pace. So Triple 8 will be very happy. Triple 8 JMR with their Triple 8 entry. That's fine. He's behind a fairly quick car, which is the number 13 Audi of Frankie Chen Kung Fu. Will Richie improve on this lap? Well, possibly, but I think his middle sector was a little bit obstructed, so no improvement for him on that lap. But this penultimate time around, he could manage it. So busy, 36 cars playing for space on the circuit. Much more competitive than the first session, just 3.5 seconds from the fastest to the car that's currently slowest, which again is the Run Up Sports Nissan Nismo, and that's in the hands of Atsushi Tanaka at the moment. Dennis Lind, what can he do? What can Richie Stanaway do in that glorious looking BMW over Mercedes with that dark blue nose, the white flashes up the flanks and the white tail? Really high standard of preparation and presentation, it must be said, for Triple 8 JMR. The 2 princes of Johor, the racing princes. Both of the brothers were out in the first session, and their cars in the hands of Lucas Stoltz in 88 and Richie Stanaway, respectively. The Kiwi, Stanaway in Treble 8. Pressing on, but what we're starting to see, it's a little bit more of a struggle for drivers to get any more out of their tyres. Certainly it's a warm day at Fuji Speedway. Maybe the very best moments of the rubber was when the track was at its busiest early on. Car number 4, absolutely stunning livery. Dennis Olsen, Norwegian racer, aboard the second of the 2 R&B Racing Porsches, but he's 5th overall at the moment. He may improve. He's over the start-finish line, still looking for someone to break into 1:38s. Olsen very close to his best. He follows as a 1:39.2 with a 1:39.3, so he's consistent but stays in 5th place. Don't forget that R&B Racing with the other car took pole for the first race for this afternoon's race, but can they make it a double and take pole with this one, car number 4, with Dennis Olsen for Sunday's race. But the driver who's fastest, Dennis Lind, clear line of vision for him. This lap hasn't been very fast in the first sector. There's been an improvement in the second sector, but the final lap could be his biggest one. Can the Dane take pole position? He's sitting at the moment in provisional pole position, but there's going to be so much pressure from the field of cars behind him. From his time, to get a driver who's a second slower, you have to move down to Morio Nitta in 25th position. Here we go again, 24 cars at the moment, covered by just under 9/10 of a second at the front of this so competitive field. Dennis is backing off and just bringing it home. He obviously feels there is no further pace in his car. He's got to stay clear of anyone else still placing on. We've still got just over 10 seconds till the checkered flag will fall. So had he wanted to go for another flying lap, this would have been it, but he isn't. He's just cruising in. So a good job, but will it be enough for him and for Climax Racing? Wait and see. Kay Cozzolino currently in 2nd place, the Car Guy Racing Ferrari. The Treble 8 Mercedes in 4th place. That's here, Richie Stanaway, large on your screen. He needs to find a few thousandths of a second to see if he can top Danny Juncadea from 3rd place. That's the Car Guy Racing, the yellow and red, the Craft Bamboo Racing yellow and red Mercedes. But Richie Stanaway, good to have him back on board. Kiwi pressing on. The checkered flag is now out. Dennis Lind still at the top. No challenge from Kay Cozzolino. He's settled for 2nd place. He's brought it into pits. Richie Stanaway is obviously satisfied with 4th place. He too brings it in, but will there be any further change? Danny Juncadea, who's currently 3rd, has improved in Sector 1 in the Car Guy Racing Mercedes. He's improved in Sector 2. He's got to find, next to nothing. He's under a quarter of a second down on pole position. Can he manage it, or can he at least get on the front row? But Car Guy Racing Mercedes, you can see one in the background, but that's not his. We need to see the yellow and red one with coming into view. He's in the final sector. The majority of the cars not on the track anymore. Here he comes. This is a final shot for pole position, surely for Danny Juncadea. Also waiting to see what Alessio Picariello can do. He's pressing on 2. No, I think he just come through the final sector, waiting to see what Danny can do. So many titles to his name, Danny Juncadea. Great line of Spanish racers, and his time goes top, 1 minute 38.825. Saved the best for last. Craft Bamboo Racing, Paolo Young's team will be very happy in that. 911, Alessio Picariello also improved, and he moves up to 4th place. So Richie Stanaway moved down the order. We saw him reporting to the pits a short while ago. So staying out to be the last drivers on to be greeted by the checkered flag was a wise move, both for Alessio Picariello and notably for the car in front of his Porsche, which is the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes of Danny Juncadea. Job beautifully done. And just trying to have a little look at the adjustments down the order. So the top second from pole takes you down to 22nd position. Another driver just back from the Moor, number 555 Racing's Naoki Yokomitsu. That's the Maizawa Racing Ferrari. But that session at the end belonged to this driver, to Danny Juncadea, who toppled Dennis Lint, who's been competitive all meeting long in the Climax Racing Mercedes. Mercedes 1-2. Kei Cozzolino, last year's champion, hangs on to 3rd place by the skin of his teeth in the Car Guy Racing Ferrari, from Alessio Picariello in the number 911 Absolute Racing AAS Motorsport Porsche, and Richie Stanaway making it 3 Mercedes in the top 5 as he joins the series for 888 Racing. Wow, quick fire, busy and increasingly rapid. Exactly how we like it all to be, and so much promise. It's so super close. Top. These are. I'm just looking to see how far down the timing sheets we get before we lose a Pro-Am entry. The top Am entry is, again, it was super strong in Session 1. Session 2, 20th overall, but Spirit of FF Racing, Lamborghini, Hiroshi Hamaguchi, top GT3 Am runner. And his time, a 9/10 of a second down on pole, so very competitive indeed for the Japanese racer, actually making a rare appearance on home ground. But these 2 cars coming into the pits at the moment. Fastest driver Danny Juncadea in the yellow and red Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, tucked in behind a car that's always competitive, and certainly so far this year with a second place and a 3rd place. Alessio Picariello has done a very good job there. He's sharing with Thai racer Vuthikon and Trafuvasak. Craft Racing going in for post-qualifying checks, of course, all standard procedure, but track conditions good. Track conditions certainly very busy indeed. But Craft Bamboo Racing, again, the team often are complicit in this. They try and work a space for their driver to get into, to fit into, where they can really set a time without being interrupted by a driver or a gaggle of cars that just aren't as fast. But Craft Bamboo Racing and Danny Juncadea, really strong job there. In the end, 0.2 or 0.205 of a second to be precise, clear at the top of the field from Dennis Lint and Kei Cozzolino, last year's champion. Very tight indeed. Look, all the way from a 1 minute 38.8 at the top of the table there to 22nd position, Naoki Yokomitsu, 1 minute 39.778 second. In 22nd. Wow. A second covering the top 22 cars. So competitive. So there is the table at the end. Danny Juncadea, and certainly his teammate Anthony Liu is very quick indeed. That's why that car won the second race at the opening round in Thailand. But today, the pole position for tomorrow's race has been set by Danny Juncadea for Craft Bamboo Racing. Climax Racing, second fastest with the Danish racer Dennis Lint. Kei Cozzolino, last year's champion, putting the brand new Car Guy Racing Ferrari 296 GT3 third fastest. Alessio Picariello, the Belgian driver, always so competitive, 4th in his Porsche. And Richie Stanaway joining 888 JMR this weekend and doing a very good job alongside his teammate Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim. Dennis Olsen always goes well. R&B Racing Porsche in 6th place overall. Seijiara, again, traffic was not his friend, but showed good pace with the plus with BMW Team Studi M4 GT3. NK Racing, impressive lap for the Porsche driven by Kondo, and then Frankie Chen Kong Fu, actually top Audi driver in 9th place overall, and Lucas Stoltz, fastest in pretty much every session he did, but the traffic didn't go his way. He parked up a bit early, but 10th place on the grid for him in his Mercedes. But at the moment, Mercedes looking very strong here. But again, just what a fabulous, fabulous mix of cars. 12 different manufacturers present in GT3 in this record 40-car field, 36 of which are GT3s. But it was an absolutely fantastic session, and the degree of difference between these cars and these drivers, next to nothing. That is why every little corner that could be cut was an advantage, and Danny Juncker is an expert with that. So let's go back and look at the highlights of what was a very, very busy couple of sessions for the GT3 runners here at the Fuji Speedway. But let's go down, because Danny Juncker has just got out of the car, and Amy Izawa has gone and grabbed him immediately for an interview. But tell you what, let's go to the highlights. First of all, we'll go with Alessio Picariello coming out to lead Richie Stanaway. This is the start of the second of the qualifying sessions for the GT3s. And it was very, very busy, not just getting heat in the tyres, making space out on the circuit. The Car Guy Racing Ferrari, the brand new 296 GT3, came out just in front of Picariello as Picariello was on his first flyer. And that was the first point of mild obstruction. Then it was all about working the space on the track. You can see Picariello flashing, and in fact even maybe clashing with the number 11 Absolute Audi, trying to get past James Couquet. And then it was about finding space to put the plan into action, and certainly very, very good laps from Lucas Stoltz, but he got stuck in the traffic and actually pitted early for corrections and never quite got to the top again. But Kei Cozzolino went faster and faster, got his car up to the top of the field. It was to be toppled. Third at the end was still a very, very good result for him. Second fastest was Dennis Lind. He sat there top of the table for a while, but it was a late charge and he was to be toppled. So the Dane didn't hang on to pole position. In the end, he was second fastest overall, but it was Craft Bamboo Racing that really picked up the pace. Car number 37, the Mercedes in the hands of Danny Juncker. So many titles in GT3, and he showed why they didn't just fall into his lap. He really worked an excellent lap to be fastest by 0.2 of a second to take pole in the second of the GT3 qualifying sessions, and that will set the grid for tomorrow's Sunday's race. Great job from Danny Juncker. Thoroughly competitive session. 36 cars out on the track, and 911 in the background. Alessio Picariello was good for fourth place overall. Tight, busy, and very, very quick. But let's go down. We saw Danny Juncker set the fastest time, and Amy Izawa is with him.
Danny, what a super final flying lap. Why did you manage to put it on the last lap?
I think just the strategy we had in quali was perfect. We decided to change last minute, and just dream scenario, you know, no yellow flags, no setbacks during that, because we left it all for the last moment, which we thought it was the best moment, and car was great. I really want to say thank you to Craft Bamboo, because we've been working really good together. And yeah, finally getting a pole position in my first race here in Asia is always exciting, so I'm loving it.
How comfortable are you towards the race tomorrow?
I'm very confident because, you know, my teammate Anthony, he's absolutely incredibly good for an amateur driver. The things I've seen in him this weekend are very impressive, and it's always really nice, you know, when you have a teammate you can rely on, and especially in these Pro-Am championships, you know, it's always a bit of a question mark who's your teammate and how good he can be up to the task, and he showed it already in qualifying 1, finishing 4th. So yeah, today will be a bit harder, I think, because we have a 15-second penalty because he won the last race. So we'll try to fight back, and tomorrow we just have to try to bring it home.
Good luck for the races. Thank you very much.
Well, another fabulous job from Danny Juncker. Not much he hasn't won. That's the pole sitter for tomorrow's race, but we're looking forward now for this afternoon's racing. And R&B Racing will be starting on pole position with their Porsche. Leo Yi Hong Lee did the job. We cannot wait. Do join us. And the racing action is sure to be fabulous in this record field here at Fuji Speedway. That's all from us. Join us for the race.